Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Jim Johnson. I'm the project manager and line editor for the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game and the Captain's Log solo RPG, both published by Modiphius Entertainment. And I am back with another video for my actual play of Captain's Log. So I think we'll just jump right on into it here because I want to keep this moving and keep this to about half an hour just to keep the story going here. Thanks so much to all the subscribers that are out there and that you've been joining the channel. I am sorry that I did not get back to this story sooner, but I've been super busy working on other Star Trek Adventures products, and I didn't think you would look too poorly on me for working on that as opposed to continuing the story. But I've been thinking about this story a lot over the last week or so. Want to get back into it here, so let's just jump right on into it here. So let's just do a recap here just to refresh my memory, refresh our collective memory. The Commander Woidi, is my half Cation, half Kzinti first officer on board the Engel-class USS Yiso-Yon. Executive officer. They were on a medical support mission when they were diverted to do a second contact mission with the Ufu-Havid, who are going to arrange a trade agreement with the Federation and give the Federation much needed food and supplies. This game is set post Federation Klingon War, as we've seen in the end of Discovery, and so this is like early Strange New Worlds kind of era action going on here. So the Yiso-Yon was en route to this second contact mission when they were diverted by a distress call from a medical facility on a planet. And so the ship, of course, doing their due diligence as part of the Federation, diverted, went to the planet to investigate what was going on. Meanwhile, while that was happening, there was a small complication on the ship. There is a sensor power issue going on, so the sensors are at 50% capacity. There's some power fluctuations on the ship, so that's a small crisis that they're dealing with as they arrive at the planet. The captain arrives on the bridge, brings everybody's brought up to speed. Ship breaks out of orbit. We don't detect anything out of the ordinary. Commander Woidi leads a landing party to the planet. They meet the Commander Woidi meets the administrator of the facility, who is Illyrian and out and open as an Illyrian. There's minor damage to the facility. Clearly, Woidi uses his security background and his analysis and mental discipline focuses to determine that this was a target attack. This was a precision attack on the base. Clearly was meant to knock out power, inflict significant casualties. We're looking at approximately 800 wounded, which is a lot. So Woidi calls up and informs the captain of what's going on here, and the captain sends down additional landing parties, medical teams, engineers, etc., security teams, whatever is needed. So there's probably like a cinematic moment of a lot of shuttles coming down and a lot of beaming up and down. Probably really significant cases are on the ship being helped out in the sick bay, but since this is a medical facility already, they probably just send down some additional doctors and nurses to supplement the medical staff that's already here. So all that crisis is starting to get resolved, and meanwhile, Woidi, being the being the executive officer and also a experienced security chief, does a little investigation and gets the insight that not only is the damage too precise to be an attack, this was clearly a targeted attack. He's got some suspicions about what's going on. We rolled some stuff on in the background here, and we saw that this was a Nausicaan pirate attack, and we determined that unbeknownst to Woidi and the rest of the crews, there is at least one pirate ally present at the facility, kind of either a forward observer or just someone on the inside who's feeding information to the pirate ship that's already hiding in the system, unbeknownst to the captain and the crew of the Yiso-Yon. So we've got Nausicaans in the system sneaking around. We've got at least one pirate ally in the facility sneaking around. The goal is not to attack a Federation starship. They're here to steal stuff. So they're here to soften up the medical facility and take a bunch of stuff. So that's where we are right now with that. And then the kicker coming out of that last scene there was the first contact species wants to get on with the second contact. They're wondering what's the delay in the Yiso Yon showing up. And then to add on top of that, kicker was that was Starfleet gets hold of the captain and says, "Hey, yeah, great question. The Yiso Yon, oh, sorry, not the Yiso Yon, the alien species. I just drew a blank. The Ufu Haven are calling. They like, where are you? We gotta get on with it." Captain brings. In fact, that's where we'll start this scene here, somewhere in here. In the narrative, once I get around to writing it, and no guarantee I'll get to that soon, but at some point I'll get to it. So just some bullet points here. The captain and Starfleet have a chat. Cap brings Starfleet up to date on what's going on the planet. Hey, this medical facility was attacked by pirates. There's a lot of wounded. The first officer is on the surface doing some investigations, but for now, if this first contact mission is so important, as important or critical that we need to go, then what do you advise? Starfleet, I think, if I need to roll, I don't think I need to roll, but I would say that this is a high probability. Yeah, let's roll just for the sake of rolling, because that's what we're here for, right? So I would say in this conversation, either the captain or the first officer, the captain or the Starfleet would say, look, this second contact mission is really super important because we need this trade agreement to get the foodstuffs to provide food and supplies and food and supplies to millions of Federation citizens who are still recovering from the impact of the war. So I would say it's going to be highly probable that the captain and or Starfleet would say, Starfleet, I need to respell that. Starfleet. Highly probable that Starfleet would say, yes, get on with the second contact mission, but leave the first officer and a cadre of people on the planet to deal with the medical crisis. In addition, we'll dispatch another ship. It may take a while for it to get there, but I'm going to say this is this is highly probable that this is going to happen. I roll a d20. I rolled a 14. If we look at the probability matrix, it's a yes on 1 to 18. So yes, absolutely. Starfleet says, send the ship. So, or it's a joint discussion between the captain and Starfleet, whether it's the captain making the call because they're the captain, or with Starfleet giving them the dictate or the directive to say, send the ship to the mission, and then Captain and XO would have a chat. Depending on how this all works out. First officer would certainly say, "Yep, that's the right thing to do." Possibly, I don't think I would make a. There's no task here, really. I don't think there's any question that this would be a role-playing scene. Like if this was a regular, traditional RPG session, this would be the captain character and the captain player and the first officer playing. First officer character having a role-playing scene. If I needed to, I would have Woidi lean into his value, seeking to find myself far from home, because we do know that in his recent backstory, he gave up his ideals for a superior officer. So there's probably a little chip on his shoulder saying, like, I need to prove myself to this captain, and I need to prove myself to me, right? I need to find myself. I need to make this work. So he would say, I think Woidi would say something to the effect of, you do your thing, I got this, right? I can handle this. Even though not only is he got to be responsible for helping manage the medical crisis and the triage teams and stuff, although I'm sure he would hand most of that off to the medical teams already in place, but he's certainly going to be in charge of the Starfleet crew on the planet, as well as conducting the investigation as to whether everybody on the planet can be trusted, or if he needs to kind of suss out the possibility of there being a spy or a saboteur or a pirate contact of some sort on the planet, right? So Captain XO have a chat. they agree that the ship and captain should go, and the EXO stays on the planet with the away teams to manage the medical crisis and the investigation into the attack. Lots of stuff going on there. Lots of stuff going on there. So that's let's see. So we'd call that there'd be a quick scene between, well, there'd be a quick video scene between the captain and Starfleet. That might be in the captain's ready room, or maybe even on the bridge. And then right after that, the captain would reach out to the XO, and they would have a chat. This could all be one continuous scene. It would be a couple different conversations. Let me make a note that I got highly probable that the ship should go. This is the second contact mission, and I rolled what was it, a 13, either 13 or 15 on the highly probable matrix. So yes, the ship is going. All right, and then the captain and XO have a chat. Yes, they agree that the ship and the captain should go. The XO stays on the planet with the away teams. Right. Yep, that's a short scene. Pretty basic. Well, not basic, but it's what you would expect to see on the show. And even though there was not really a task or an encounter in that scene, that's still a scene. That's still an important scene because it's carrying the story forward, right? Things are happening. So I would say that would be a complete scene that I would go to my little mission tracker. If I've got one here, am I using that? Yes, I am. So I would mark that off. Say scene 3, boom, done. And in fact, if I really wanted to, I could call the teaser a scene 2, or a scene as well. But I think I decided that I wouldn't do that. So scene 2, scene 3. So now we're on to scene 4. So I guess the end of this scene 3, or it would be like a cut scene or something. We see the Yiso-Yon. Boop, boop. Yiso-Yon. Yeah, I spelled it right. Excellent. So you see Yon break orbit around the planet, aim toward a direction of space, and blast into, well, not blast, I guess, stretch into warp drive, into warp speed. Warp speed, off they go. Okay, so the ship is gone. And I think we've already established somewhere in here that the Nausicaans are hiding, but keeping their eye on things. So if we wanted to I don't see it here. I'm sure it might be in the other set of notes. I'm pretty confident we established that the Nausicaans were monitoring the situation. So I would say, let's make a note here. Nausicaan pirates, are they monitoring events around the planet? And I would say, yeah, that's highly probable as well. I don't think they'd absolutely be keeping an eye on things because they knew their initial attack would have drawn attention, and now they're probably monitoring to see what's going to happen next. So I roll a dice. I rolled a 1, so yeah, you bet they're keeping an eye on things. Rolled a 1 on the highly probable matrix again, and rolled a 1. For sure, the pirates are keeping an eye on the planet and the activities. We know that they are here to steal stuff. We know that they're motivated. They were motivated enough to attack a medical installation. They were motivated enough to hide from the big bad Federation starship, even though it was a Ingle class. And they're keeping an eye on things. Are they... They know they don't want to attack a Federation starship. They're here to grab and run. How likely... What's the right question to ask here? They're probably not going to want to waste a lot of time heading back to the facility to grab stuff, right? They're pirates. They softened up the base. Maybe they're a little surprised that the Ingle left as quickly as it did. So there's a question mark there. They're not sure what's the reason for that. So maybe their captain would reach out to their point of contact on the planet. And I think it would be probable that they would probably try to investigate why did the ship leave so soon. Let's say that's probable that they would do that. I rolled an 8, so yeah, so it's probable. So they would, so pirates are suspicious that the ship left so soon. Pirates know via their boots on the ground that there was damage and high casualties. So their expectation would have been that the ship would have lingered longer. Let's keep thinking this through, because part of this sounds kind of dumb. If they attacked the base and then hid, they should have known that the Starfleet ship, under normal circumstances, would have stayed, helped resolve the situation, and then might have done some research. So... well, maybe they were... well, they're Nausicaans. Maybe they were just waiting to see what happened. Or I can retcon it a bit and say maybe they attacked the planet, and then they detected the ship coming toward the planet, and they were not expecting such a quick response, and so then they hid just to wait it out, see what happened. But either way, now they are surprised that the Federation ship left so quickly, given that there's significant damage on the facility and a lot of casualties. Maybe they see this as an opportunity to go and grab what they can before more Federation ships arrive, because we do know another Federation ship's on the way. In fact, let me make a highlight on that. It's certainly likely that the Fed will send another ship to the facility, but will take I rolled a d20 and added 10, so I rolled an 11, so that's 21 hours. It'd be 21 hours for it to arrive, because the Federation's spread thin. This colony, or this facility, is not close to regular. It's not readily accessible, whatever. So the Federation is going to send another ship to the facility, but it's going to take 21 hours for it to arrive. That's how long Woidi and the teams need to manage on their own. Fix the facility and do the investigation. All right. So the backstory here. So the Nausicaans, there were significant casualties. They don't know why the ship left so soon and don't know if or when a ship will return or a new one will arrive. So they want some intel too. So I'm almost looking, this is almost feeling a little bit like an opposed task of some sort, where the Nausicaan pirate on the planet is going to be doing their research, but at the same time Commander Woidi and his teams are going to be doing their research to try to suss out, okay, what happened here, and is it likely that there was a saboteur on the planet? Woidi may have already figured that out. Let's take a quick look here. I'm going to just back a little bit, just trying to build the story here. So Woidi knows the damage is too precise to be an accident. Clearly it was targeted. He rolls on reason plus security to determine who might have done this. He gets a success and a threat. Complication. Okay, he reasons out that it was a pirate attack, most likely Nausicaans. They're not the most precise. Do they have help? He reasons that they likely do have help. Have help on the planet. So Woidi is reasonably suspicious that there's somebody in the facility that is working with the pirates. The administrator of the facility, who's proud of the Federation, can't imagine there being a spy. Why would anybody want to attack a medical facility? Blah blah blah. But Woidi, being a veteran security officer and just mentally disciplined and rapid analysis, all of his focuses and stuff tying into here, along with his background as military training officer, some experience with the shady side of things from his family background that he rejected. A little more knowledgeable about criminals. Thinks, yeah, there's probably a spy or some sort of point of contact here on the planet. Okay, got it. All right, so we got 21 hours. Let me highlight that so I can remember that. All right, so then the ship breaks out of orbit and leaves. Cut back to the planet. Woidi. So we're gonna, if you're following along in the core game loop, right? Let's jump over to that here real quick. That's page 238 of the book. So 238. So what we've done is we've been narrating. We rolled some dice. We determined the impact. We narrated the outcome of these different scenes, and now we're back to it. Now we're going to narrate to a task. What's the next task that's going to happen here? So Woidi, I would leave most of this just to narrative because they are competent officers. Starfleet is competent. Woidi has a lot of logistical stuff to sort out. They, sorry, I think, did I make Woidi's pronouns they, them? Sure did. Okay. So Woidi works with the facility admin, and I think I even gave them a name, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. I'll clean that up in the narrative if and when I get to it. We're just building the story here, basically. Yeah. All right, so Woidi works with the facility admin to secure some stuff, to secure quarters for all the away team members, or at least billets, cots, whatever. We clearly got several triage stations. Works hands off some of the work to the CMO. I'm sure the chief medical officer probably came down to the planet along with doctors, the ship's CMO, to manage triage, pop-ups, supplies, etc. So basically the chief medical officer is coordinating with the administrator and whoever the chief medical officer is of the facility itself. They're working together to set up additional triage centers, to set up additional, surgery tents, whatever the equivalent is. They're just trying to get organized, trying to manage this very large quantity of casualties, wounded, etc. And I'd say that's something that Woidi can pretty well hand off to the CMO and let them manage. In addition, Woidi coordinates with the engineering teams that came to the planet, possibly the chief engineer and crew. I guess the question mark there would be, would the captain have sent most of their chiefs down to the planet? So like I think it would make sense to have the first officer, the chief engineer, the chief medical officer. I think Woidi would have pushed to have the chief of security stay on the ship, just in case something went wrong. Helm officer, communications officer, they'd stay on the ship most likely. Science officer would probably stay on the ship as well, because there's probably not a critical need for a chief science officer in this particular situation on the planet. So I think let's just say that the chief engineer and some crew came to the planet to start repair crews on fixing the damaged reactors, power outages, etc., and also the comms system. As I recall, the comm system was knocked out on the planet, so because it was a automated distress signal, but pretty sure it was a comm. Yeah, here we go. Damage to the facility, targeted damage, power systems are out, comms are out. Minor casualties, no fatalities, but there were a lot of the casualties were minor, but there were a lot of them, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So the scene. Oh, how would you do this in the game? I mean, it would just be Woidi. It would be like a lot of walking and talking and a lot of bluster of activity. It would be Woidi working with the chief medical officer to coordinate the triage teams, the medical teams, and to encourage them to work with the medical teams already on the facility. And then they'd be switching gears over to the chief engineer and the engineering crews to get repair crews started on fixing the damaged reactors, fix the power outage, deal with the comm system. Plenty of stuff for the chief engineer and his engineering team to work on, or their engineering team to work on, whatever the case may be. And then also, in that little conversation that Woidi had with the captain, Woidi would have expressed his suspicions. Let me add this up here. Woidi expresses their suspicions that there is a spy on the facility, likely working with the pirates. And you know what? I'm going to make a roll here. Actually, now that I think about it, would Woidi reason that there might even be a ship in the system? Right? He's got reasonable expectations that it was Nausicaans. He's reasonably confident that they had help on the planet, but we didn't really highlight, is it likely that the ship's in the system? This might be a place where he can suss that out. So let's jump over to Woidi's character sheet here. So I'm going to call that probably a reason plus security. So that's 13. Let's see what we got here. So 13, and I rolled a 13. Oh, wait a minute, I need to roll 2d20, don't I? I rolled a 13 and a 13, so that's a success with generating some momentum here. So, yes, he's successful. He successfully reasons. Hold on. Woidi. Reasons that it's likely that there's a pirate ship in the system, or perhaps on the way back, but with the ESO Yone's sensors out, and also just tying into the thought process from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. There's probably a reasonable expectation that Woidi and the captain might also suspect that if the pirates are in the sector, they might be able to monitor comms, in which case Woidi and the captain would need to be talking in code, or somehow inferring without saying as much. And I'd have to play with this in the dialogue in the prose, but with Woidi being reasonably confident there's a pirate ship hiding somewhere in the system that the ESO Yone can't detect, or maybe the ship's coming back, but there's still a reasonable possibility in his mind. This is not something I would need to roll. He's just being a good Starfleet officer and a good former security officer, that it's reasonable to assume that if these pirates did target this facility and did have a spy in, they're probably smart enough to be monitoring communications as well. And so if they're monitoring communications, Woidi and the captain probably want to be careful about what they say on the comms line. So this was where I might have to clean this up a little bit and say maybe they're not actually going to say maybe, oh gosh, would they make this a face-to-face conversation? No, I think they would just do it on an encrypted channel on either a pad or a communicator or something. So I'd have to clean this up a little bit to say that they wouldn't want to tip their hand necessarily about what's happening, but they would probably let loose that there's a crisis, and that they'll be back. So the pirates might be in the area, and that Woidi will be just fine. They'll just have to. It's just a chance that they're going to have to take. All right. Anyway, so so going back to this scene then, this extended scene. Woidi works out the logistical stuff with the CMO. Woidi works out the engineering stuff with the chief engineer and gets the engineering teams and the repair teams started on all the different tasks that they need to accomplish. And in addition to that, Woidi is sufficiently suspicious that not only is there a pirate collaborator on the facility, there's probably a pirate ship in the system or on the way back, expecting them to be monitoring comms, maybe monitoring sensors. He's probably reasonably confident that the moment the ESO Yone takes off, there's a good chance that the pirates are going to be coming back for more. Right, I think that's a reasonable inference to make. I don't know that I would need to. I don't think there's any uncertainty. Well, okay, I'll call it. You know what? I'll call it highly probable that he would think that enough. And I rolled a 5 on the highly probable matrix. So yeah, I don't know that I would have done that necessarily in the role playing. I think just thinking about the character, thinking about their capabilities, I could have even spent, well, not in Captain's Log. If I wanted to do obtain information, I could have just picked at this. But just from the narrative, from the prose, you know what? Woidy's got the skills. He's got the experience. They. Jeez. I can't get my pronouns straight, darn it. Woidi, they would be smart enough and experienced enough to know that there is a reasonable expectation that their comms were monitored. There's probably a ship in the system or on the way back, and they're definitely going to be curious once the Yiso takes off, right? So that creates a heightened sense of tension for Woidi. So Woidi works with the security detail. The security detail from the ship, as well as the security detail, such as it is native to the facility. I don't know if they may not be Starfleet officers. They're probably oh yeah, no, this is a Federation facility, right? So it might be Starfleet. I don't know. Would it be Starfleet? No, it's probably like regional security or your local constabulary. Like, I don't know. There's probably a Federation medical council or medical division or something that's not specifically Starfleet. They probably have some security guards or whatnot to and works with them to start sorting out a plan to observe and question the population of the facility. That's going to be a lot of work. And let's see, we got, let me see, what details did we get on the facility? See, this is all the great detail that you got to think about as you're working through this to make a rich, meaningful story here. So, let's see. So it's a rehab colony. Yeah, I don't think did I highlight? I think I highlighted a number somewhere. Let me look in here. Okay. Yep. That was in there checking out the medical damage. Distress signal. 14,000 inhabitants, comprising a mix of facility staff, support crews, the patients, and their family members. 14,000 inhabitants. 14,000 inhabitants. Wow. This is a tall order. Tall order for Woidi and Co. to sift through 14,000 population to figure out who might be the spy. That almost seems like a hopeless task, but there's got to be a way to do it, right? Me personally, I don't have the knowledge, but you know what, Woidi does. So I'm gonna lean into Woidi and see how they would manage it. So somehow they've got to come up with a plan to sift through 14,000 people and figure out who might be the spy. So with that in mind, the administrator, who's still doubtful but willing to help, gives Woidi access to the facility records. Well, yeah, there's some probability there. I think it's... If Woidi makes their case, and the admin is certainly already busy, I'd say this is probably probable that they would lean into it and help. And I rolled a 9, so yeah, no question here, no issues. All right, so but the admin's still a little doubtful because they're true to the Federation. They can't believe there'd be a spy here, but they're willing to help. Gives Woidi access to the facility records to help facilitate the research. Scene 5. Okay, so that's a pretty meaty scene, and honestly, in the course of a TV show, this would probably be a lot of quick cuts, a lot of like it's one big scene. There aren't really any task roles in here necessarily. There's not like things that there's not really any sense of uncertainty in here, at least as far as like people doing stuff, right? Woidi's task is to talk to the CMO, get the triage team sorted out, done. That's just standard operating procedure. Woidi would then work with the chief engineer to start getting the engineering triage teams worked out. There's not really anything there. Woidi then works with the security detail from the ship and says, okay, look, we need to start keeping an eye on things. So Woidi would dispatch probably some security personnel to support the medics and to support the engineers, and also probably has a couple of analysts or intelligence types that were on the ship helping them to sort through the research once we get the research. There might even be a security chief, maybe the security chief on the facility lends a hand too. I would think that might be a matter of Woidi needing maybe a check, maybe a maybe it's it wouldn't be opposed necessarily. Woidi would want to make sure that the security chief on the facility is on the up and up, so probably make a roll for that. Yeah, it's probably Insight Security, so that's what, 15. Rolled a 12 and a 3. That's a success with momentum. Wow, is there even a task there? Task to sort it out. Yeah, so let's call it good there. Okay, so that's a big, long, meaty scene. I've been at this for 42 minutes. This is probably a good place to stop for now. I'll get back to this again soon. But clearly, this is all staging, right? So this scene 4, I would go to my little scene tracker here. Maybe let me just make a quick note here to say that Woidi did suss out the local security chief. That was insight plus security. Rolled a 3 and a 13. So that's a success with momentum generated. And in fact, maybe I'll roll on the advantage table here, or maybe even the momentum table. Let's just see what happens. So momentum, page 275. If I rolled a 4, advanced warning, and I rolled a 5. That doesn't really make sense. Let me try again. 3. Anticipate foe's strategy. It doesn't really make oh, this is just general momentum. Or I can do an advantage. Roll on the advantage table. Roll to 14. Beneficial element. Something inherent to the environment, such as awareness. Comes to the cruiser. Something beneficial element comes to their assistant. Okay, so let me make a note of that. That could be useful. Beneficial element to come into play here. Maybe the spy has a friend, and maybe the friend wants to talk. I don't know. We'll play with that. We'll think about that. All right, so anyway, I've been at this for 45 minutes. I think this is a great scene. A lot of stuff happening. Did get some information here at the tail end, and so we got a lot of research going on here, and that'll kick us into the next scene. We're probably nearing the end of Act 1. I think the acts is something that I would probably figure out in the revision as I put this together into a narrative. you know, and clean up the rough spots, you know, kind of sand down the rough edges here and to blend this in a little bit better. But clearly, Woidi's got everything at least kind of sort of under control for now. Actually got an advantage that might come into play here. Still some significant lowercase threat hanging over here, so let me just make a quick note of that before I cut it so I don't forget. The threatening issues in front of Woidi are that one, there's a spy in the facility, at least one, could be more, and two, the pirates are likely to return sooner than either the ship or backup can arrive. And in fact, with that issue in hand, he's probably working with a security detail to not only start sorting out a plan to observe the population and question the population and start looking for the spy or spies, but Woidi also wants the security detail to start prepping defensive plans in the event the pirates return. This would mean defensive positions, moving people around, closing off sections of the facility, and hardening from attack. So probably guarding the facility armory if it has one. Probably something modest. Defending, moving and defending the shuttles that were brought down. In fact, D20 divided by 4 to see how many shuttles were sent down. I rolled a 9, so there's 2 shuttles. 2 shuttles to protect as well, and those would also be the emergency. Oh, you know what? Let me do that again. I've got to think that the facility itself has a shuttle facility, probably a garage or a hangar, not a garage. Hangar on the facility has. I rolled a 9. 9 divided by 4 is 2. It has 2 shuttles as well. Likely fitted as fast medical evac shuttles. So, and this is a danger spot. This is a danger spot. The spy might be looking to steal one of those shuttles. A shuttle, if they were looking to get off the planet quickly. So we got 4 shuttles. 4 shuttles in total to watch. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot going on. Oh, Woidi, that's why you're first officer in command. So I'm checking off that box. So scene 4 effectively done here. I could maybe call that another scene. This could almost be 2 scenes in its own right if I get into the narrative. But for the purposes of the game here, I think I'm going to call that one big long scene with a lot of stuff to do, a lot of binging and banging, bouncing about, a lot of quick cuts. Again, not a lot of critical stuff was rolled here, but still scenes carrying the story forward would certainly be worth the checkbox here. Is it enough to call this the end of Act 1? Maybe. This might be maybe sort of where I maybe cut the act and go to Act 2, but I'm not really going to know that until I play through the rest of the story. And this is the key difference between writing a short standalone adventure for the game versus just playing it, is notionally, because I really don't know where this is going or how it's going to end. I'm gonna figure out the structure of it later. And that's why I don't even have a title for the episode yet, right? Because I don't know what's going to happen next, so I don't really have a good title here. And what else I think is interesting is that this mission was supposed to be kind of sort of focused on that second contact, because that was the point of the episode. But we've been diverted to deal with this medical crisis, and now I've split the party, and half of it's going to go do the off-screen stuff is going to go do the second contact, while the on-screen stuff with Woidi being the main character is going to deal with this crisis on the planet. So that's perfectly fine. I might make one of these later scenes a cut scene to say, hey, how's the negotiations going? How's the second contact mission going? I need to change that. How is the second contact mission going? While I would generally hate to leave that to a die roll, for the purposes of this particular adventure, since Woidi's not involved in it, I might just leave this to a die roll and say, oh, you know what? The captain's capable and competent there's a good chance that it would be taken care of. But there might be a little question mark, a little bit of doubt in there, because